One was how vulnerable Quincy is to coastal flooding. Many of you may know that Quincy has a very long shoreline. We have, I believe, I'm going to say we have 22 miles of shoreline. Don't quote me on that exact number, but we've got a very long shoreline, and we have really experienced tremendous coastal flooding. In addition to the shoreline itself, somewhere around 25 to 33% of Quincy's properties are actually in a floodplain. So you can imagine the kind of flooding that we experience. I've also been asked to speak about the impacts of last year's nor'easters on our community. And in Quincy, we have a very different land use than we might have in downtown Boston. We've got a number of commercial buildings, admittedly, but we also have a tremendous number of smaller residential homes along our coastline. And literally hundreds of homes were impacted by last year's storms. Some of them very severely, some of them had more minor impacts, but Quincy experiences among the highest number of repeated losses due to these storms. The neighborhood of Squantum was isolated for a period of time during these storms. The city itself, 2 of our municipal buildings were knocked out during the storms. The boilers were knocked out. We had one of the elementary schools needed to be closed for a few days while we literally brought in new boilers, and we actually raised the height of the boilers in that process. And we also had one of the senior centers was also knocked out. Thankfully, we've been able to bring those back online, but obviously at tremendous cost. I've been asked to describe what our community is doing to make it more resilient. First of all, I'm pleased to say that the City of Quincy has just updated our 5-year hazard mitigation plan, and that's been approved by FEMA. And we're going through the state process of the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program. So we're in the midst of having public meetings on that, and by the end of the month of May, which is this month, we will qualify as an MVP community, and as an MVP community, we will qualify for some funding through that program to address hazard mitigation, to address hazards in our community. In addition to the planning that we've been doing, we literally are raising seawalls. Right now, we are, as Bill described, we're raising seawalls in some of our most vulnerable areas by a few feet. We're also addressing tide gates and pumping stations and things like that. So at this point, the city is really working on a local level to address these issues, and we understand we've got a tremendous amount of work to do, and it impacts several neighborhoods within Quincy as well. The city of Quincy took the lead in terms of funding some of the initial work that Bill's organization is doing. We're very pleased that our city council chose to approve the initial funding of this work. The overall work will obviously be more expensive than just the city can fund. We're looking to other communities ultimately to help pitch in for some of this planning work. We believe in looking at a layered approach, not just looking at on-land solutions. So obviously on-land solutions will be part of the solution, and we will also be looking to the state and federal government to help us with this work. So again, thank you. The City of Quincy is very pleased to have so many of you here, and to know that so many of you share our concerns.